My turn. Um, it's always hard when everyone else has kind of explained your case to sort of stand up here. Is there anybody in the room that doesn't know about my case? Let me just do a raise back. 1, 2 people. Oh, Jesus. For those that don't, I was falsely accused of multiple rape. It started off with 3 counts when the accusation was first made. It ended with 13. It was, I think Jerry said roughly would have been like 12 years. Is that about right, Julia?
Yeah.
12 years. Life on the sex offenders register, and as much as I'd spent 12 years in prison, I don't think I'd have lasted. I think I would have probably, I just don't think I'd have got through it. Just at my age, the way that I am and everything like that, it's just not something I would. And so as much as everyone's kind of spoken about the process of my case, and the legal side of it, I wrote an article recently for the first time. It's probably the hardest thing I've had to do since the media. Speaking about it in the media is quite easy because you do it in snippets. You do it in a 5-minute section. Writing an article took me 3 hours. I wrote 800 words, and as a rough estimate, I ended up on 3,500. Whoops. And it was more of a personal side to it. If anybody hasn't had the chance to read it, it is available on my Twitter if you have access to it. But the main part of it was the mental state, the actual thoughts process that goes behind it, the bits that I hadn't been honest about because it was too hard to speak about. And it's hard to speak about now, but I'm aware that I'm in the company of people that would have had the same thought process or want to know what that thought process probably is or live that thought process and still are. I was suicidal at points. It wasn't consistent. It wasn't every day I'd wake up and I'd want to kill myself. There were just days where you would just wake up and just think, I don't know if I can get through this. I don't know if tomorrow is going to be the last day for me. I don't know if I'm going to hear a knock on the door again and that'll be it. I'll be taken away. And that's kind of hard to admit for me because I am very much the opposite type of person to that. I was very, very bubbly as I grew up because I just learned that I would do this for the people that lived around me. I would live for people around me, not for myself. And I couldn't do it because I knew what I'd leave behind and I knew the reputation that I'd get. But there were just moments that you'd just wake up and you didn't want to get out of bed. Kind of like when you do, but it's a great feeling on a day of work as it is. But when you're going through something like that, that's your only moment of peace and quiet is when you are by yourself, and that is the most dangerous moment for people that are going through this. It really is, because once you are alone with your thoughts, it isn't a case of you're going to think this through and how you're going to get through this. You start to think about every scenario, and then you plan in your head for the worst, and we did that. We planned for the worst. I said my goodbyes. I wasn't ready to say goodbye to anyone. I was not ready to let go, but I knew I had to. And so in the build up to the court, it was, I had to say goodbye to different pieces of my life. The university, I'd say goodbye to all my university friends, and some of them didn't even know I was saying goodbye, and that was horrible. Not being able to tell people that was probably going to be, in my mind at that point, when it was the way that I'd read about things, was going to be the last moment in my life that I'd get to see them properly. And I couldn't tell them, I couldn't bring myself to tell them because it's just too hard. And I'd said goodbye to my friends that couldn't be around the case, and there were a few people that turned up to the public gallery. I mean, we threw a gathering the day before and had about 100 people in a day just turn up in there. And it was insane the amount of support that I had, and it wasn't that it wasn't enough, and it wasn't that I wasn't alone. I just felt alone. There was nobody I could turn around to. I didn't speak at any of these kind of events. I never turned up to one of these events because I was just scared. I was a 22-year-old kid by the time it ended, and I was still a child, but I had to act as if I was 30, 35, and I had to be in the mindset of, I don't have a lot of assets, but anything that I do have, I need to start looking at because they're going to take it away, because they've taken everything else. And I really struggle at these events because there's not a lot that I talk about that I do in the background because I don't like the spotlight of it all. I've hated being in the media in all honesty, and it's done some good, and that's the only reason why I do it. And eventually there will come a day where it isn't really helping anyone and I'll be able to step away. And honestly, I don't know when that day's going to happen. I don't, because the media doesn't really seem to be interested at times. They tend to be interested in the stats and the figures, and this is the whole problem with it, is we aren't just stats and figures. We aren't just names on a bit of paper. We have a story. We have a voice. This is the point of this. Is I have a platform right now, and I know I'm not the only person that should have it. It doesn't make any sense. And we are so much more than our stories. I used to tell people In fact, I recently told somebody that I got close to, and it's been difficult to get close to people lately because I like keeping people at arm's length. It's just easier for me. Because if ever I do these types of things, it's difficult for people to watch the things that you go through afterwards. You know, tomorrow I'll probably be an absolute mess on a train home because of the amount of stories that I've heard. And that isn't, don't tell me the stories, guys, please tell me everything. Because I need to hear them. I need to know why I stand up here in front of you all and I speak all the time about the same things. It's because eventually it reaches people like you, and it will reach more people, and it will keep going. And there is strength in numbers, but I describe myself as, and this is how I felt, and this is how I felt since the meeting, and I think I'm starting to work out that mindset is, I just felt as if I was just a boy that was falsely accused. That was it, that was the identity I gave myself, nothing more, nothing less. And I think there's a lot of people in this room that are starting to feel that way, that the story is what determines us. And do you know what, in a way it is. In a way, I started off with this when the case broke out, that I wouldn't let this determine who I was as a person. I wouldn't let this run my life and all these other things, and thoughts would always be around the case, being falsely accused. And we can't stop that. That's always going to happen, and I'm not going to stand up here and lie and say it gets easier, because quite frankly it probably stays the same. It does, and eventually when time has passed, you convince yourself that you should be over this. You convince yourself that it's been a year now. Come on, move on. Like, I'm 23, like, and I'm still standing on a stage, you know. And it doesn't go away. It doesn't. And somebody turned around to me and said, and this is somebody that I've known for a couple of months. Somebody said to me that I'm so much more than my story, and I really needed that. Not from a friend, not from family. I needed that from somebody that I knew really well, but I hadn't known for too long. That knew me after the case, not during, not before, after it. And said that I was still more than what that case was. And we are so much more than everything we've been through. Our experiences don't determine who we are. It's what we do with those experiences. It's how we use them. It's how we speak about them. It's what we do for other people that determine who we are as people. And that's why I need you. In all honesty, I'm not doing this for me. There are other people that aren't in this room, that aren't even walking around freely, that need us. They don't just need me. They don't just need the story. They don't just need the limelight. They need us. And if it's a phone call at the middle of the night just to tell them everything's going to be okay, you have done more than half of the population probably would have done in this position, because it's difficult. I sat down with Sue just now when Eddie was speaking and held her hand through it, because I know that's what people need, because that was what I needed at the time, and that's what I still need now. And I can't thank you enough for being here, because you don't have to speak, you don't even have to communicate with me. Just seeing your faces reminds me that this is a fight we cannot lose. I will not lose this fight. This will be the biggest fight of my life, but I am so determined that no matter how hard it gets, no matter how hard it is to get out of bed, that I will not give up. And if there's 10 people... I hear a lot that people ask me how I do this, and that is the reason. There's nothing more to it. I cannot watch people suffer, no matter what it is, and this is the worst kind of suffering. I will not watch this anymore, and I honestly hope that every person in this room leaves this conference knowing that somebody is fighting for them, because that's more valuable than anything I could give you right now. So what I will do is I will then be telling you what my plan is. And it may be right, it may be wrong, in all honesty, I genuinely don't know. But trying and failing is the same as giving up. It has the same effect, probably worse for other people to watch. But it seems as if you don't care, and I understand why some people walk away. I wouldn't blame people if they walked out of this room right now, I really wouldn't. Because it's tough. It's tough, but it's goddamn worth it. It really is. If you look around the room right now, half the people in this room are crying, because they don't know what else there is. There is nowhere else to go. This was a safe haven for people. We did the conferences not to raise awareness, to bring people to one place. One message is that we are fighting. This effort may not work, but there will be another attempt, and there will be another attempt, and the police, the CPS, whoever can close ranks and shut me off and shut the world off, I will still keep knocking, and eventually one of them will crack. And if one of them cracks, it all goes. But right now they're in a comfortable position of, we're not organised, we're not, it's difficult because everyone kind of has political differences, and Brexit's currently happening, and you know, all sorts of things that just have no relation to us are causing problems. Screw it. Screw it. I don't care what's going on right now. Because there will always be something, there will always be a reason not to do something. If you find it, if you look for it, there will always be a reason to do something, no matter what is going on around you. And so anybody out there who is feeling suicidal, I completely understand, because I still have those moments. And I've never admitted that ever, but I still have those moments. But we are worth more. The people around us are worth more than walking away, and it's not a get out. It's not, because who knows what's on the other side for starters, but what's left behind? There's nothing. There's nothing. You just leave the people you love behind, and they have to pick up the pieces. And that is the one thought that I just couldn't live with. I just couldn't do to people, and I'm pretty confident everybody in this room will agree that you just can't do that to everyone. So my plan. I'm going to make myself a bit of water because this is quite stressful.
You started it.
I did. I've only got myself to blame. We don't want to work against the people that can make the changes. We just don't. Because that's what everyone's been doing so far, I think. I think that's where it's kind of gone wrong. I don't think that's... It's not that there haven't been changes, I just think that's the part that we're missing, is we need them to open up a little bit and let us in and hear the story properly and actually tap into the human emotion that every person has. And there'll be a couple in there that are quite cold and ruthless and won't care. But not every single person in that institution won't care. There'll be somebody, or a group of people. Because a lot of people would have said the same thing. A lot of people up here have said that the public don't care. We are the public. Look around you. We had 180 people turn up today from across the country. We had people fly up from Ireland and all sorts. People care. And if we care, then other people will care. And the more people that we tell, and the more times we talk about it personally, the way that I've just done in front of you, the more people will get. And this room will not be big enough to hold the amount of people that we'll get. And eventually we'll win. We just will. Because it's coming. It's happening. You won't see it yet, but it is happening. I spent 2 days, about a month ago, and I spent 7 months following a case. I actually got to court. They called me and they told me they got found not guilty. I've been waiting for that news for 7 months. In contrast, I had a case where somebody was accused in January. I spoke to the mum on the phone, talked her through it, told her everything was going to be okay. I spoke to the son on the phone, told him everything was going to be okay. I spent 5 hours of my day doing that. It was nothing to me. Didn't matter. Didn't see it as lost time. Didn't see it as, oh, they inconvenienced me. They needed somebody. I could be available. Why not? A month after I had that phone call with the mother and son, a month afterwards, I told them they need to screenshot certain messages and they need to do this and they need to do that because they had the evidence. So if you have the evidence, you need to do the work yourself. The legwork comes from us because I'm tired of relying on other people to do it, and that's why we're doing this campaign, is because I'm not giving this to somebody else. Because it's not that I don't trust people won't do it, it's just that I know I'll do the legwork. So I'm confident in that I will run around and I will do everything that it takes, and I will go and meet every person up and down this bloody globe. Just to say hi, you know, just to tell them this is my story, and people might get tired of hearing it. Fine. Then we have your stories. Then we have every other story that happens, because there are new people going through this every day and there is always a new story. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them in a room. The CPS, the police, all the people who make the decisions, the Justice Committee, there's so many people, I know. It's getting tiring to speak to them all, but there are, all of them in one room will create more change than speaking to them all individually across a 6-month period. Because what they'll do is they'll tell you they can't do this, you need to speak to that person. And then you'll tell them, oh no, I just spoke to that person, they said speak to this person. So they'll tell you to just go and speak to that. And you'll go around in a circle. Because they do it with our cases, if you notice. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, I've said this quite a few times. Even in my case, it was always, even after it came out in the media, not one person properly stood up and actually went, do you know what, this was a right cock-up. We really, really messed up here. It was, yeah, we kind of did this, but, and it was always a but. There was always yeah, but somebody else did this. And they do the same thing when the leaders, that Alison Saunders came out when she was part of the CPS, and she was the head of it, and said there's nobody in prison because of disclosure failures. The second she announced she was stepping down, she then turned around and went, there's probably people in prison because of all these disclosure failures. There's probably people in prison because of this. Is it Richard Foster that was in charge of the CCRC? Yeah. I had a right go at him on the radio. I got in trouble for it. Didn't care. He stepped down. First thing that comes out of his mouth. We don't have the resources to do this. Brilliant. You can tell us this all now. You can tell us it till you're blue in the face. You are currently not in the position to make a change for that. Why not do that when you knew? Because you must have known. You can't have just suddenly had a revelation that you looked at the books just as you left and went, oh, there's 1p in our account. You know, it's ridiculous. And so, yeah, do you know what? Sometimes we're going to have to call people up because they're not being held accountable. So we hold them accountable. But did anybody see the Sam Allan case about compensation? Yeah. I spoke to Matt, the solicitor in it. Do you know what the reason was? It's not in the public's interest. Who's the public now? Are we now no longer part of the public? Because then that is a bigger part of a problem. This is what I mean by we are bigger than our stories. I think we categorise ourselves, falsely accused of this or that and this and that. No, we are the public, we are people. And so as soon as we get them in that room, and I promise you I will show you and I'll show them exactly who is being affected by this. Just the numbers, the stories, everything in detail, one by one. And I will show you this is exactly why these changes are needed. Now you can tell me that there's not enough funding, but you are then essentially telling me that nobody's life is worth X amount of money. There is not a single amount of money in the world that anybody can tell me that is not worth one person's life. We're talking there's thousands of people going through this currently. There's probably thousands in prison. Nobody's going to know the real number. So when we get them in that room, we're going to rely on yourselves for stories, proposals, ideas. You know, this whole thing is about innovating justice is our hashtag. This is something new. This is always going to be something new. We are looking for people to come up with something that might seem bonkers, but why not? Because we will tell you what might need tweaking, and then when we take it to them, they will tell us what needs tweaking. And this is the point, we will do the legwork for them, even after our cases have ended. Because they may not have the staff to do this. Fine, we will be that staff, and we'll do it unpaid, because we're doing it for a different reason other than a career prospect. And that's it. It sounds so simple. It just sounds simple. We will build an agenda, a manifesto for them to sign, and on that manifesto it will say that they agree to discuss these ideas. Not agree to the changes, they will agree to discuss these ideas. It's never going to happen straight away. I've conceded into that, and I'm really sorry for everyone that's currently going through it that I cannot do more, because it honestly keeps me awake at night. I wish I could. And it just sometimes doesn't feel like enough. And I know everyone in this audience is going to tell me that it is, but sometimes it just doesn't. But what I will do is I will do everything in my power as long as I can, for as long as I am breathing. While I am in that room with them, I will turn around and say, you need to recognise that miscarriages of justice do happen. Put your name on this document. Announce to the world that you are now conceding that the system, it's not that it isn't working, it's that it's prone to mistakes. Every man-made system has a fault. Currently, that fault leads to collateral damage. We are collateral damage. We are just the casualties of war on crime. I think it was described by Tony Blair. There's a war on crime. Fantastic. War away from us. Because every war has a casualty. I refuse to call this a war. It always has a casualty. And it was always a civilian somewhere. A village or something. We're currently that village. But we have a voice. We have an opportunity. We are going to change things. I don't necessarily know how, but right now this seems like the best way. And if you don't agree with me, then I completely understand. I'm open to ideas, I really am. But putting them in a room has to come first. So I owe quite a few thank yous to all the speakers, and Julie and Dennis, who have arranged pretty much all of this. And this wouldn't be possible without just anyone, really. At least all of them, to be honest. It's just been a fantastic journey so far. It really has. These last two conferences have just been incredible, and it's just the stories that we get to hear. But I can't do this alone. I really can't do this alone. And I really hope that everyone in this audience is sitting there and they're thinking, I'm going to go and tell every work colleague, every friend, every primary school, friend that I had that I used to play kiss chase with for 30 seconds, because they'll listen. They will listen, and if you want me to speak to them, I'll happily speak to them. If you want to tell them my story, use it. Use your own stories, everything. If it's too hard to talk about yours, talk about mine. Because I have spoken about it for months and months on end, and I will continue to speak about it because people just need it. So thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you.